Hello, Bots and Books fans. This is Scorp1701, and tonight I'm ecstatic to bring to you the culmination, the last piece, as it were, to a collection that I started 2 years ago. This is the Neca Target exclusive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2-pack of Splinter and Baxter. Oh my gosh, yay! This, again, is the last piece of the puzzle of the Neca Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I have been looking for. And of course it has to do with Splinter, not so much as Baxter, but he's in there. So anyway, let's get started and take a look at this awesome box. You see, it is done in a two-tone of green and yellow. You have Nickelodeon, Splinter versus Baxter, Splinter, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Baxter Stockman, and you can see them in there with their slew of accessories. On the top of the box you have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle logo, you have warnings, you have Nickelodeon. On the bottom of the box you just have some words and things and warnings and who did the sculpting and stuff like that, which is pretty good. On this side of the box you have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Baxter Stockman. On the opposite side of the box you have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Splinter. And on the back of the box you have both Splinter and Baxter, and a read-up of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Normally, when they do stuff like this, it's a read-up of the people of the box, but this is not. This is just the same read-up we've been looking at for 2 years. And at the bottom, you see a couple other figures that are in this line and in this particular wave, and we're not going to go into that. Again, this is the last set that we're going to look at, unless something strange happens and I just go crazy. But anyway, that's these two guys in the box. No one wants to see these awesome figures in the box. I know I don't, so let's get them out and see what they can do. And here we have Splinter and Baxter out of the package, and they look awesome. I love these two figures. They are going to be a great pleasure to review. And when we review them, we will have to go over their plethora, and I mean plethora, of accessories. There is so much to go over, and I think unfortunately this will make the video go a little long, but it will be fun nonetheless to go over. So when we have two figures like this, what we always do is do them one at a time, and I am going to start with the adorable little fly man, Baxter Stockman. And looking at Baxter Stockman, he stands at approximately 5 inches tall and comes with a few accessories to include 2 pairs of alternate hands, a Mutazure, a regular laser pistol, his computer pal Z, and a mutated version of Shredder the Fly and Michelangelo the Gerbil. And with that being said, we'll take a look at those accessories later. I'd like to take a closer look on Baxter himself. And coming real close in on Baxter, you can see they nailed that cartoon aesthetic very well. His hair, you see it's nice dirty blonde up here. It's molded, a lot of details in there. It's kind of soft plastic, so it will move just a little bit, but not too much. Has these huge red fly eyes. Those are creepy and cool. And have some nice white lines going down the sides to give them that like glossy look, and some more shadowy lines coming on the other side, so that looks very animated. Nice black face, has some little tentacles or spikies or whatever these things are coming out of his head. Nice green nose, mouth area. You can look inside his mouth, and it is painted. He got some nice red and pinks in there, so that's awesome. Coming down to his yellow bow tie, got some Toon lines on it, and he always wore this standard little vest and pants set even when he was a regular guy. So it's basically white long sleeve shirt. You got some Toon lines here, his gray vest, you can see the white shirt underneath there in the middle, some Toon lines coming up here at the pecs, I guess, and then it's nice black line going at the bottom of the sweater, pant lines picked out, so that is awesome, and some purple feet, purple hands, and this guy is just so cute. If you turn him on the back, here is where you do want to go to the back of the figure. As you can see, He has a pair of wings. They got some black creases in them, some molded detail lines going down. That's pretty nice. And he has a set of purple arms that come out of his back. You can see that the shirt's ripped. They got that ripped effect. That is awesome. And these go up and down. He has some pockets molded into the back and some more lines. I just love this guy. Oh, that is just cool. All right. And so that is pretty much what this Baxter Stockman looks like. And for articulation, starting at the head, his head can move left and it can go right, and it's kind of on a hinge, so it can go up and down, so it's a little stiff, so be very careful. But if you want to, he can go 360 degrees around. Just be careful. I'm not sure how sturdy this is, but anyway, you got a lot of good motion up and down, left and right there with the head. Shoulders, they can move up and out. They can go all the way around 360 degrees, but you got to get the wings and the other arms out of the way, so that's pretty nifty. He does actually have a double elbow hinge, which is kind of strange. You have a bend up at the top, and then you also have a bend here at the bottom. So that is very interesting for your articulation when it comes to the elbow. He does have wrist articulation, goes all the way around, and it hinges. This one hinge? Yes, it hinges up and down. It's on a hinge, so be very careful with it. You can see the hinge in there. So if you get real close, you can see the hinge. So okay, all right. Coming back to the middle of the figure. He does not have really any ab, but it's really soft in here. You can kind of push it, so you feel it's kind of hollow and kind of like he's kind of fluffy in there, I guess. It's really interesting. Now, coming down to the waist, he does have waist articulation. It will take you all the way around 360 degrees if you're so inclined. He can kind of bend forward and back. There's not anything real definitive about it, but I guess you can do that because he's doing it. Coming down to the legs can go out to the side, they can go up a little bit, and they can go back just a hair, but not as much because of the butt that gets in the way. Thigh swivel is there. It's very tight, so it doesn't go too far, so be careful if you mess with that. No boot cut to speak of. It does have a nice double knee bend, so you get a lot of movement there. So coming back, his foot can kind of rock. I'm not sure you can get it all the way around because of how big it is and just how the pants design, but it is also on a hinge, so it can go up and it can go down a little bit, and again, like I said, it could rock around, so that is pretty cool. Coming to the back, you can have his wings. They are very articulate, so they can go up and down, left and right, depending on how you want to make them move. They can be together, they can twist and turn. They're on a ball joint, so that is pretty neat. And as well as these secondary arms, they go all the way around, and they are on hinges, so they can go up, down, and just, in and out. I don't know, just be careful. They're little, and I'm not sure how secure they are. You don't want to break them off because that would be such a bummer. All right, and that's pretty much it for his articulation. Moving on. And for his first set of alternate hands, they have these small open hands where you can, looks like he's got a trigger finger ready, and what you would do with those is put in this nice pistol. This is his. He stole this from the Technodrome when he was escaping from Krang, and the thing about this gun is very nice. It's gray, you have a little bit of blue here, and as you can see these little pieces right here, the little white spots, it did kind of have a trigger guard, but when I was messing with it, it was so fragile that the trigger guard kind of broke off. So I'm kind of bummed about that, but that's all right. You could basically put this in his hand and it will sit there nice and neat, snug, so it's not going anywhere, and he could like zap the turtles or Shredder or Krang. Thing about this guy, he hated everybody, so there you go. All right, moving on. And for his next set of alternate hands, you have a wider opened set of hands, so you can hold something with a little bit more of a wider handle, which would be this weapon. And this is the Muta Zoo gun that he got from the ship that he found in oh gosh, one of the episodes. He went down there and there was they thought it was a temple, but it was actually a spaceship, and he became pals with the intelligence that ran the ship, and it gave him this Muta Zoo ray. And it's basically a gun that will transmutate anybody that it shoots. So we'll get in real close here. You can see it's got some nice details. Oh, there's a battery. Got some nice details here. It's mostly white. Got a little bit of streaks here of color on the sides. Has some nice blue here, some red picked out. Nice kind of a purpley handle. On this side you have the dial. It has all the different types of animals that you can mutate things into. You have like a cat, a fly, ant, a rabbit, or I guess it's a gerbil, and a donkey, and a turtle. So so that was pretty cool. What's like that on this side? Same thing. So that is a pretty neat little weapon, little black barrel down here, and you could just take that, take his hand, and be very careful. We'll try to slide that in there, and here Baxter is holding it properly, so you can get it in his hand, and he could go shoot all the different characters that he shot. He shot Michelangelo, and he shot Shredder, and to that effect, you have Shredder as a fly. This is what happened when Baxter hit him with the mutagen gun and set it to fly. You have Shredder fly, and he's pretty nicely done. He is very, very small. He has wings, he has his helmet. You can see a little bit of detail in there. His brown eyes. He has some pauldrons. Should have a little bit of spikies there. Purple cape laid around his back, and some little legs. Whole bunch of little legs. Of course, you know your fly, so you need a couple. So I'm going to try to turn it around so we can see the behind, because he has a nice little tail. All right, so there we go, nice little tail. So this guy is very, very detailed for something very, very small as he is. Oh, he fell over. That's okay, you can see underneath him. So oh, don't hurt me. So yeah, so if you want to see how small this guy is, we'll just kind of zoom out, and we will see that this is the standard Baxter figure, and he is so small. He is standing right on top of Baxter's head, and that is just really, really small. So yeah, but it's a cute little thing. So anyway, moving on. And as another victim of the Muta Zoo ray, you have Michelangelo as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. So he looks really, really cute. Actually, he looks kind of angry and weirded out because he's now a gerbil. And so this guy is really small, but we can kind of move him around. You can see he's got his bandana, and he's a little gerbil, and he's got some Toon lines in there. You see his arms and legs picked out. And he's got a little tail, and he's all furry. You see the fur detailed. I don't know, this is kind of a mutant turtle. Shouldn't he have some sort of shell or something? I don't know. It is one of those weird things. So he's not as small as the Shredder fly, but he is still pretty small. Let's see if I can bring in the Shredder fly. So we'll put him right here next to Michelangelo gerbil. Oh no. Come on. Stand up. There we go. Move over to the side. So yeah, those are some really small and cute accessories. I love them. All right, moving on. And for the last accessory associated with Baxter, you have Z. This is his pan-dimensional computer intelligence friend that he picked up along the way and carried it with him for a few years. And it was basically an artificial intelligence, and it basically latched onto Baxter as its buddy best friend in the whole world. And eventually one day it got its own little body, and then it got destroyed, or the body got taken away. And then I think the last thing we saw of it was it got attached to the Technodrome and started controlling the Technodrome. But anyway, this is a neat little thing. It's basically plastic. You have some nice buttons, some red, some nice brown buttons, a green, and some arrows, little yellow lights at the top. His face is actually what we call lenticular, which means if you move it, you get different features. So right now he's kind of got this smiling, happy looking to the left, but if you move it, you can look to the right and his mouth will open. Kind of a surprise. Let's see, he also has a couple more. This is just a smiley face, and then he has this weird devilish look there. And so wow, you can have a lot of neat fun with this guy. I got some details on the sides, so you got some Toon lines there, and dropped him. And on the back, got some more details picked out, and some looks like an old computer monitor, everything you would expect. But it's actually kind of also a head, I think. So if you kind of look at the bottom, there is this port here, so you can, like, if they actually did create a clear body for him, you could just stick him on there. So that may be in the works. That's Neca thinking ahead. Thinking ahead, get it? Okay, that's a terrible pun. But anyway, this is Z. Moving on. And for comparison, here you have Baxter keeping Krang, Bebop, Rocksteady, and Shredder back with his pistol as he escapes the Technodrome. Alright, moving on. And for comparison, here Baxter is trying to escape the Turtles with April. Oh, that dastardly fiend. And this is a pretty cool little scene that you can make when you have these awesome figures. Alright, moving on. And this has been the Baxter Stockman of the group, but we've seen enough of him. Now, let's move on to the creme de la creme, the much anticipated Master Splinter. And here we have, finally, after all this time, Master Splinter. Bum bum bum. The sensei of the Ninja Turtles. And you can see he comes with tons and tons of accessories, which we'll get into in just a minute. But first, I want to take a closer look at Splinter himself. And coming real close in on this awesome figure, you can see Master Splinter looks like he jumped right out of the cartoon. He is just gorgeous. He has a very nice long nose, his head sculpt, his ears, very tall, they're sharp to the point. He has a lot of detailed fur in there. You got some Toon lines coming over to pick out his nose, and even on the top of the nose right here there are some colors in there. Wow, that is so cool. Some nice serious eyes, some brows. Oh my goodness, this thing just looks awesome. He has a nice solid black nose, some nice buck teeth here. If you pull his face up, you will discover that his mouth is articulated. I know this is for articulation, but still, we gotta look in there and see all of that goodness. Oh, hey Splinter, you see his mouth, it's nice red, and his tongue is a pink, good color. Even at the top of the mouth you got red. Wow, they went all out with the color for this guy. Awesome. And as you can see, he does have that Toon tone shadow effect that all the turtles had. I think even Baxter had it. I don't think I pointed it out, but it was one of those things that you just kind of expect. Has some Toon lines here in the ear to accent those. Wow. Okay. So that is basically his head, and it's really, really good. And basically all you're going to see else on this guy is he does have some molded detail here in his neck, and the rest of him is pretty much covered up with his kimono, and this little burgundy, purplish, whatever color you want to call this. He does have some nice gold highlights here on the shoulders on both sides, and it's tied right here with a little black string, or belt, or however you want to call it. For the most part, you can see his hands. They are nicely done, and just brown plastic. You do see some details in the fur that's molded in there. So that's pretty much it, without taking off his robe. And I'm not going to do that because that's just weird. This is not a doll. He's an action figure, believe it or not. And then coming down to his legs, what we can see, we can lift it up just a hair and see that he still has just brown legs there, and he has some nice wraps for his feet, and they're detailed. You got some lines in there. That's very, very nicely done. And on the back, you can lift the back up a little bit, and again you can see just it's all tufted and molded detail. And he has his tail, which is nicely done, light brown, and has some stripes on it, so that is cool. And yeah, got some holes in the bottom of his feet, and that's pretty much what Splinter looks like. Moving on. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to do it, but I did it anyway. I had to see Splinter without his kimono, and I wanted to take a good look at his entire body and how it was designed. And you can see, we're just moving in real close, that most of his body is still done in this dark brown tufts, and a lot of detailed in there with the matted hair and all that. So you can see a lot of cool stuff in here. A little lighter up here at his neck, and his shoulders on the back. You can see his tail just sticks right in there. It's cool. And that is just neat. Not a lot of detail. Again, you know, you don't need much because he's basically a rat. But anyway, also wanted to take the kimono off for the articulation segment, which is where we are now. And for articulation, starting at his head can go 360 degrees all the way around if you're so inclined. It can look down a real good ways. It can look up just a hair, not too much. And as we saw before, his mouth can open and close. Now, interesting enough, he has a neck piece, and this neck piece is also articulate, so it can go left and it can go right, so moves with the head. So that is cool. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Coming down to the shoulders can go all the way around 360 degrees, and they're on a hinge, so they can go up and down, up and down. He does have a bicep swivel that can go all the way around. He has a double elbow bend, which gives him a lot of good range there, right there, so that's pretty neat. He has a wrist articulation, goes all the way around, and it's on a hinge, so you can get some down and you can get some up out of that. So that's pretty cool. He does have what I'd consider, I guess, a waist, which is lower ab articulation, and this is what will take him all the way around 360 degrees, so that's pretty neat. It kind of goes back a little, not so much up, but you know, that's what you got with that. Legs. So legs are kind of odd. They aren't your traditional straight up and down. They're kind of put in at an angle, so the leg can go all the way around like that. He does kind of also have like a thigh swivel, so that is pretty cool. Knee bend is not really there. It's kind of built on a weird I don't know, biceps hinge. Should go all the way around like that. That's kind of interesting. And it does have kind of a bend right here above, I don't know what you'd call this upper part of the foot, so that should bend. So yeah, you got that. So I guess that would be kind of your knee. I don't know, but the whole knee is right there, so it's a little lower than what you'd normally consider a knee bend. So then you have down to your foot. His foot is on a hinge, so it can go up a long way, and it can go down a long way, and it can go all the way around. Well, no, I don't know. Can you? Yes, you can actually get it all the way around, but that felt kind of dangerous, so be careful if you're going to do that. And he has some toe articulation, so it's there. It's kind of stuck in place. You gotta kind of get the paint out of it, but it's there, so that's cool. And so we can wiggle his toes. All right, if you move him to the back, yes, his tail is obviously articulated. It is on a hinge, so it can go up and down real far away. And if you come down to the end of the tail, it is kind of on a bendy wire, so you can turn this different ways. So yeah, that is cool articulation that you could only get from a rat. All right, and that is Splinter's articulation. I think I'll find his clothes again. Moving on. And for accessories, starting with his alternate hands, you see he currently has one set on that are kind of an open hand, so he can put in some fairly large items, but he also comes with 2.5 other sets of hands, and that one of those sets would include a weapon holding set, and these are, you see, they're kind of fisty, and they can hold something like a sword or a sai or something like that. They're not as big and open as his current hands, so that's pretty neat. Also, he has a pair of what I would consider karate move preparing hands. So, you know, he's got kind of got in a weird stance, and they're kind of freaking people out. What are they going to do? Kind of thing. If that's kind of a thing. All right, for his final alternate hand, he has just a pointing hand. So I can see him sitting there pointing at Michelangelo. Michelangelo, pay attention. You may never know when the shredder will attack. So that is pretty cool. I like it. All right, that is it for his alternate hand. Moving on. And for the next accessory the Splinter comes with, he has a little rat friend. And he is so cute. Look at this little guy. He is so small, but he is very detailed. You can see his ears and a little bit of black paint in the ears. He sees eyes and his long nose. It comes down to his little black point of a nose. And he has some whiskers sticking out there. And you can see his mouth. He's got a little buck tooth in there. And the mouth is painted red. I don't know if we can actually get in there to see it, but it is. I can see it from where I am. Get a little light. So yeah, you can see a little hint of red in there. Could be, and you can see his little hands. They're painted in a different color, and they're rubber, and they're kind of bendy. So, you know, be careful with them. They will move, but you don't want to move them too much, or they might pop off. So right here, you got some Toon lines. You got some Toon lines around the bottom of the leg, and he has some little feetsies. The little feet are the same color as the hands. And went too far. I can only go so far. And the feet are the same plastic, and they move a little bit. And coming around to the back, you can see his nice little wiggly tail. It does move a little bit, so just be careful. One of the bad things about this rubbery plastic, is it gets loose and it will pop off, and you don't want to do that. So that is so cute, and that is Splinter's little mouse pal. All right, moving on. And for the next accessory we're going to look at, we have a little yin-yang medallion. It's nicely done in a gold color. And, you know, you see just a flat back. But you got the little yin-yang right there, and it's on this nice yellow rope. And that will basically fit around Splinter's head if you want to give that to him. Let's see, we'll put that on, and it could just hang down there. So yay, he is all peaceful and tranquil. Very good. And actually, I saw a review. If we take this off, come off. I saw a reviewer before, And what he did was he took the medallion. Oh, sorry, Splinter. He took the little mouse guy, as you can see, and the way that the mouse's mouth is designed and the way he's holding, it almost does look like he could sit there and he could try to eat the medallion. So I don't know. That was just a weird little thing that one of the reviewers saw, and it fits. And so I don't know if one of the episodes had a mouse stealing this medallion, but it does seem to work that way. All right, and that is the medallion. Moving on. And the next couple accessories we're going to look at are his books. And first off, he has this little brown book. It's nicely detailed. You can see some details on the spine here with the bindings. That's really cool. The book itself, the front, I'm not really sure if this is the front, but we'll say this is the front. Has some holes, so it looks like it's been worn or damaged. Some nice tan colors here. And you can see on the sides, you have some pages. So let's see. That are picked out in there. Looks very detailed, and like there's a lot of good pages in there. So on the back of the book or the front of the book, I don't know. Again, you can't really tell. You got some more holes and stuff on this side of the book. So it is really well used or worn, and Splinter can hold this, and it looks really nice from there. See, there he is holding it. Very good. All right, and the next book we're going to take a look at it is this blue art book, and it is molded in an open position, and you can see art there, and a nice lady there, and MH there, which could mean modern history, medieval history, I don't know, because once we open it up, we see the great Renaissance painters that gave the turtles their name, and that is really nicely done in their little pictures. You have Leonardo and Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael, of course. And if you look behind their portraits, you can see the colors that match the turtles' bandanas. So that is pretty neat. It doesn't close or anything. It stays in that position, and you have some nice details for the pages and textures and stuff like that. So that's pretty neat. And Splinter can hold this as well, as you can see. That is very nice. All right. And those are going to be your books. Moving on. And that brings us to Master Splinter's scroll. And this is interesting. It looks exactly like a scroll would look. It's done in a nice light yellow. Some yellows, darker yellows for the hilt of the scroll holder. Some brown and some gray. And it looks like you would think a scroll of parchment would look like. You even have some nicks in the paper there, which looks cool. And then you have the writing on the scroll. Now, at first glance, you can say, oh, this is all Chinese and stuff, but it is not, actually. If you look really closely and kind of read it, you have C-U-R, Cur and Lee, Curly, and you have Besser, and then starting here at the S, you have as S-H-E-M-P, so that's Shemp. So you have Curly and Besser and Shemp, and then you have Nyuk, and Sap, and then you have so I don't know, this other part I can't really translate, so nearly, so I don't know, but this is kind of a funny little thing, and obviously it's a joke, and you have some Three Stooges references there, and it does harken back to that one episode where Splinter lost his memory, and then he had to get it back, and then he had to go perform the final move, and it turned out to be just Three Stooges slapstick comedy, so that was pretty interesting. Alright, and that is his scroll. Moving on. And for our next accessory, we have the legendary Sword of Yurikawa. And you may remember this sword from the episode of the same name, the Sword of Yurikawa. It is a famous sword that everyone was trying to get a hold of. Splinter sent the turtles after it, Shredder wanted it, and a weapons collector wanted it, but in the end, only one should have it. And as you can see, it's nicely done, and a nice orange hilt, little different color oranges for the tips and then the actual hilt. You have some nice dark orange for the diamond insets there in the handle. And if you look on the inside, you can see some nice sculpted out triangles there, and then you can have the blade here nicely picked out in kind of a light gray with some Toon marks to denote the blade, so that is pretty cool. And the thing about this sword was whoever had it could control it and do all sorts of neat stuff with it. I think Shredder turned it into a chainsaw. Not very imaginative, but the guy who actually did have it through most of the episode was able to use it to turn it into a flame sword. And that is pretty cool. Very nice. You can add that little flame effect to it, and you can swing it around. And of course, the one guy who had it through most of the episode was Master Splinter. He broke into the museum. He stole it before the turtles got there. This was a really nice accessory, and you can see him holding it here, and that is cool. Oh, actually, it's hot. All right, that is the Sword of Yurikawa. Moving on. And for the next accessory, you're going to have to take your pick on this because it's either a Doku plant or it's either a Gazai leaf, because in the episode they both really look the same, so I'm not exactly sure what they're going for here, if it's the Doku or the Gazai. But it was a very important plant in the episode, whether it kind of put you into a sleep forever or it got you out of the sleep forever, depending on what they're going to say this is. Okay, so it's basically green, and you get some little red and yellow flowers in there. So that is it. So here you have the Doku or the Gazai. I don't know. All right, moving on. And here we have Master Splinter's walking cane, and it is nicely done, nice and brown. You have some notches molded in there, and you can see it's weathered, and it looks like it's been around for quite some time. And basically what you'll do with this is he could just sit there, and you could put it in his hand, and he could just lean on it like such. So it's not too difficult to do. It'll fit right in there, and there you have Splinter with his walking cane, or walking stick. So that is cool. So yeah, and really enjoy that. It's definitely a needed accessory when you're talking about Splinter. All right, moving on. And for the absolute last accessory, finally, we have this awesome mat that Splinter can sit on. It is nicely done with some, it's kind of like a foam. It's not paper, and you have it dissected with some bamboo squares and some nice purple border. So that is really cool. So we could have him, you know, sitting here giving instructions. We could have the turtle sitting around it, and that is just neat. So hey, if you ever needed like a dojo mat for your collection, here you go. All right, moving on. And full comparison, here Splinter is warding off Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady with the Sword of Yurikawa. And full comparison, here Splinter is with his turtles, as he's looking on and giving them instruction on how to fight. This is really cool. I love this set. It's so cool. All right, moving on. And this has been the Neca Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2-pack of Splinter vs. Baxter. And I loved this set. It had so many accessories and things that they crammed into this box besides the figures, which were awesome to begin with. Splinter, he is the essential final piece for me anyway of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection, and the collection will go on, but I'm not sure I'll get any more of them. Definitely needed Splinter to finish out my collection, and they didn't disappoint. The colors on Splinter were great. His little kimono was perfect, his bandaged feet, and when we stripped him down, he had so much articulation that I didn't even expect, and they didn't even have to do because most of his body is covered in a robe. But I thought he was done very, very nicely. And Baxter, I was very surprised with Baxter. He was remarkably fun to play with and to bend around and to pose, and he was cute. I really enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and the accessories he came with were clever, and just basically the whole pack was just great. And they were small figures. Yeah, they weren't as big as the turtles, but you know, they're small guys, and I guess they made up for it by throwing in all those accessories. But anyway, so that is the 2-pack, and since this is the final set I will probably be doing for my collection, just give me just a minute because I want to come back with some final thoughts. And we're back, and behold the glory that is the Neca Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection. Yay! Okay. Maybe a year and a half, June 2019, I think, is when I started the hunt for these guys. But it's been a long time. And I am just so happy. This is it. In my opinion, this is the definitive set of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I don't see how you can get any better or closer to the cartoon than these guys. They were near perfect. I mean, nothing can be perfect in this, but these were as close as perfect as you can get, and I love them. These guys were all Target exclusives, and that was an adventure in itself to be able to get a hold of these guys. I remember the first time I saw them, I saw 3 packs. I saw the Donatello, the Raphael, and the Michelangelo, but you know, and I put them down for just a minute to walk over to the toy department, and when I came back they were all gone. Oh my gosh, I was like, holy cow. And wow, getting these guys was just crazy. And fortunately I was able to get most of them at retail price. There were a few that I was afraid I wouldn't get, so I went ahead and kind of got them from other sources, but that's just kind of the thing that you have to deal with when you're dealing with Target exclusives. And actually the last 2 I got, I was able to get in and get them really quickly. There was a couple more on the shelf, so I think NECA has changed their practices and starting to send out more product, because this is basically like printing money, okay? Everybody's gonna want these, and it's just crazy because they're so good. And like I said, this isn't the end of the line. There's a lot more turtle characters coming out. I think the next one's coming out is going to be Vernon and the Rat King, and then they got the Punk Frogs, and they got Turtles in Disguise, and there's just a whole bunch more that they're going to do with this stuff. But as for me, unless something changes, this will be my stopping point. This is the perfect set. This is the perfect collection. I don't see it getting any better than this as far as the cartoon turtles. I don't really see me picking up any other turtles, but yeah, guys, I want to thank you all for joining me on this ride. It's took a couple years, but I hope it was worth it for you. I know it was definitely worth it for me, finding these guys, hunting them down, and playing with them, and just reliving a part of my childhood that I thought was lost forever. These guys have brought something back to me, and I think that's kind of one of the big things about collecting toys and this hobby, is you relive a part of your life that you thought was gone, but you get to enjoy it all over again. And so, wow. And I'm just going to take a minute to reflect on the awesomeness that is this collection, and I am just so happy with it. So guys, that is the review. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, keep playing.